Let's start. Kritika, do you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Kritika, and I'm a classical Hatha yoga teacher with Isha Foundation. That's what I do full time. And yeah, that's about me.
How long have you been in Canada?
I came to Canada in 2018 June,
Nice, it's been long.
5 years. Yes.
How do you like it here?
Yeah, I like the country. I like the people. Everything is good, but then at the same time, yeah, things are challenging at times. It's not, all good. But in general, if I look at a bigger picture, yeah, it's good.
Nice. So, the reason to get in touch with you is because I wanted to interview you for mental health. You
Mm-hmm.
know that mental health and stigma is closely associated. And this is
Yes.
an attempt to break the stigma, create as much awareness as possible for seeking help for therapy. So
Yes.
in this slide, I have few questions for you. So the first one is, can you speak to your own experiences with mental health awareness and the cultural barriers that you have faced?
I think mental health is something, okay, Neha, are we going to speak in English only or it's mixed?
I whatever feels comfortable, but I wanted to ask questions in English so that we
Okay.
can serve a larger set of audience.
Okay, so then I'll also answer in English. I'll try
Okay,
to answer in English only. Can you repeat your question one more time?
sure. So can you speak to your own experiences with mental health awareness and the cultural barriers that you have faced?
Yeah, so, if I talk about mental health, this is something that we never discuss, especially I'm talking about people who comes from Indian background. They can relate to what I'm saying. I don't know about other parts of the country. Uh, in my own experiences, there have been many, many times that I was not well mentally. And I think everybody goes through their own things. There's not even a single person that I know that, that was always at his or her best mentally. There are time, life happens and everybody has highs and lows. But I think, especially with our culture with Indian background, we are not supposed to speak about it, and it's a taboo. Mental health is not something that people talk about, that openly. And I really appreciate what you are doing, when you told me what's your aim and you are trying to bring awareness. I really think it's a very good cause that you're working for. Yeah.
Thank you, much appreciated.
Yeah.
The next question is, what are some of the unique challenges that you have faced as a first generation immigrant from South Asia?
Yeah.
I mean, from India, when it comes to accessing mental health care in Canada, if at all you were in a situation where you thought, okay, I need to speak to a therapist?
Well, actually, when I came to Canada, a series of disasters happened in the sense that at first place, I never wanted to come to Canada. It was more of a happening. It was not out of choice. And then when I came to Canada, the moment I landed, how we get our SIN number right on the airport. Now, this immigration officer did something wrong, and I could not get my SIN number for 2 months, which means I was not even able to apply for jobs. And my husband came with the job, so he has to start working from the very next day. Now you are in a new country, you don't have any work, you're already not very high, energy wise when you came. So all of it was too much. After getting my SIN number, somehow I started working. I got a nice job actually. I'm very thankful for that. I started working, but then when the winters came, it was very harsh. I think you can relate to it, right? The
Yeah,
first winters are super harsh, and I didn't know what was happening. I was just feeling sad and sadder, and day by day. And then yeah, the it came to a point that I thought that okay, it's not normal. It's um uh, uh, I'm feeling really low, which is unusual. Then I talked to one of my colleague, luckily, and he has done some basic something to do with the, you know he was not a psychologist or something, but he had some basic knowledge. And then he told me that, okay, it's very normal what is happening to you. This is something called sad, there is a disease, disorder,
Yeah.
something like that. And then he said, because you come from a country where there's a lot of sun, and now you are in this country where there's no sun, and you know how winters are, right? 4 p.m. it's all dark, your body is not getting any sun. So he said this is very normal, and he gave me a few tips that were very helpful. And I felt I was very lucky that I got someone in my office to talk to, and that person, yeah, listened to me and he understood. And he also assured me that I'm not going to talk about this to anybody. So yeah, I think we need support when you first come to the country. You need support and you should talk about it.
It's very brave of you to come online and share your personal story. So I wanted to take a moment to appreciate it. So thank you so
My
much.
pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah, I don't understand, Neha, why it is such a stigma. If you're feeling sick, as we were talking the other day, we don't feel embarrassed going to a doctor and asking for medicine. Then why it is such a big issue?
Do you think there could be impact of some kind of cultural background or cultural context when it comes to mental health in the first place, and then followed by asking for help for mental
I
health?
think so, very much possible, because growing up, have you ever seen anybody in your family talking about, okay, not being mentally well, or if at all somebody has talked that other people took it positively? I don't think so. So I think it has a lot to do with the culture and how people perceive it. I think, yeah, you're right, very much possible. But I think things are changing now. People are becoming more and more open, and they're talking about it, which is a very good thing. And there are people like you who are, you know, taking the plunge. And yeah, and I think we really need to have more such initiatives.
That's nice. What do you think are some of the misconceptions around mental health?
Mm, First, there are many misconceptions. I think the first misconception is, people think that if you are going to a psychologist, or if you're going to a not psychiatrist, but I would say psychotherapist, if you are taking a therapy, then they see you differently. They think that, okay, there's something wrong with this person. This is very interesting that half of the diseases, chronic diseases, even the chronic elements that we get, they first happen in the mind, and then they transfer, and then they translate into the body. So this is very interesting. One of my psychologist, teacher, he told me that when you are when mentally not well, if you go and seek help, you can treat it at the same spot, and those traumas won't reflect in your body in the form of diseases. But we are fine, treating diseases or taking those traumas for years and years, uh, but we are not eager to treat them where they happen. So I think that is one very big, I won't say a myth or anything, but a very big issue that I see. If the problem is here, I should get the treatment here, right? Don't let it linger on for 15 years, 10 years, and let it translate into the form of a disease like diabetes or thyroid. Because if you see, there are so many studies that talk about this, that diabetes, thyroid, and many diseases like PCOD, PCOS, they are directly associated with your mental health.
For people who don't know PCOD and PCOS, can you please elaborate on this?
Well, I'm not a medical expert, so I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, PCOD and PCOS is a very common situation. They say 1 out of every 4 girl, in urban India and in urban societies have that. So in that, in you get little cysts in your ovaries, and then it disturbs your menstrual cycle, and there are many symptoms like hair fall, irregular cycles, and pimples, acne on the face. Yeah, and it is directly associated with your hormones, and stress is one big reason why we get PCOS and PCOD.
Thank you. Thank you for explaining. Um, the next question is, do you think language plays an important role when it comes to seeking help? For example, English is not our first language. We have different languages coming from a diverse background from India. For
Yeah,
example, Marathi is my first language. I
yeah,
believe Punjabi could be your first language or not. I'm not sure.
yes,
But
Punjabi. But we mostly speak Hindi at
Hindi.
home. Hmm.
So, do you think language plays an important role?
I think so. Yeah, I think because even though you are very fluent in English, but I'm sure there is a cognitive load when we speak in English, because that's not the language in which we directly think. We are still somehow translating in our mind. And when you are in a certain situation, let's say you're not feeling well, or you are little depressed, that is another cognitive load to first translate and then speak to someone. So I would highly recommend this, even from my personal experience, that it's very helpful if someone has to seek help, then they talk to a person or a therapist who can understand their language, because language can be a very big barrier. You can still talk. I'm not saying that it won't be helpful, uh, but you always see, right, why there are communities, why people of same culture like to party or celebrate, because language is a big language is something very big that connects people. So yeah, the more you are comfortable in your language, the better you can open your heart, I think.
That's a very important point. Yep, I completely agree with it because that kind of connects to people like this.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't find the appropriate word or vocabulary to explain what you're going through, right? Already you're feeling low, and then on top of that, if you have to talk to somebody in a different language, then it's another layer of yeah, burden. So I think if you're seeking help, because when I told you I teach yoga, and I had this participant who was going through some challenges, and yoga helped him, but then he was very clear that he need more help. And then he even took help of a couple of psychologists here in Canada, but then he was feeling the same thing, that I cannot open my heart, maybe it's a language barrier. And then I connected him to someone in India who spoke his language, and it really helped him.
That's nice of you. I mean, you're going above and beyond to help. That's really nice.
Yeah, I think it's important, it's very important.
Yeah. Do you think family or friends or community as a whole can play an important role for providing support for anyone who is struggling with their mental health?
Yes, absolutely. I think the first thing that family, friends can do is to listen to what the other person is saying, because sometimes when I was studying in university, one of our hostel mates, she committed suicide, and yeah, we talked about this, that she was seeking help, but none of us could see that she was in so much pain. So I think first thing we need to develop as a person, we should be sensitive, and we should be able to see beyond words what the other person is going through. uh, and yeah, if someone is not feeling well and it is consistently happening, then we should take it seriously, I think so. And maybe we can refer him or her to a specialist. Because if it is a daily day to day stress or tension, that's okay. You just go out for a movie, you go out for a walk, or you take a day off, go to picnic. That will be fine. There are many ways, if the problem is not that serious. But if it is repeatedly happening to somebody, and you consistently feel that, okay, this person is behaving abnormal, in the sense there is a consistent low tone in his voice, and he's sad, he's depressed, we should talk to them, and we should encourage them to go and seek help, and connect them to somebody who is an expert. Don't try to counsel the person. Again, as I'm saying, if it is not a you know if it is not happening once in a while, if it is happening regularly, you don't think you are an expert in the field, just connect them to somebody who has the knowledge and who can really tackle them.
Help them.
Yeah.
Yep, that's really important for even us, even if.
Yeah, for mental health, one thing that people think, even when I went through a little dark phase of my life, mentally, I was not feeling well. Everybody after that, told me that, oh, you could have talked to us. It's not that simple,
Yeah.
that, and you need experts at times. If I just don't know how to describe it, but everybody thinks they think they are an expert in the field. If someone is feeling low or they are depressed, they can be the therapist. It doesn't happen like that.
Do you think major part goes to Facebook University and WhatsApp University?
Definitely, definitely. Like, everybody is giving gyan, all these motivational lectures or messages, though that means nothing. I mean, if you are feeling low, everybody knows, we should exercise. How many of us do exercise?
Actually do. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and half of them are people who are not following anything, or who are themselves not in a state that they can give advice, and they are just saying words that means nothing. So I really feel that you know if this is happening to somebody consistently, again, I'm saying, again and again, repeating consistently. I'm not saying, let's say I know Neha, and one day she's just feeling low. uh, I'll try to boost your energy, or maybe do some activity you. But if it is happening 10 times, it means you need help. It's time for me to connect you to somebody who knows the subject. you
Yep.
know not I cannot now try to become a counselor when I know nothing. So this needs to be understood, I feel.
Valid point. That's really good. Do you see any change that's happening in either in our society or either towards mental health, or no change at all when it comes to either awareness or asking for help or breaking the stigma? Any of those 3 points?
I think it's happening, especially you might have heard Deepika Padukone, right? She
Yep.
talked about her depression very openly, and now she has many NGOs. She has an NGO, which is working towards the field of mental health. So I think when a person like me will talk, nobody will give that much attention as when a celebrity talks about it.
Yep.
So I saw a lot of people, came to know about there is something called mental health, or they started taking it seriously when they listened to her, and even not just her, many other celebrities I have seen. They talk about how they were not doing well mentally. So it is very important that people who are at a certain level, in terms of they can influence people if they talk about it. You see how there are endless number of celebrities who committed suicide. It means they were
Yep.
not well mentally, right? Our history is full of people. But when Deepika Padukone came and she talked about it openly, I'm not a big Bollywood fan, but I really liked her for her spirit of coming and talking about it. Though it is a different story that many people said, okay, it was her stunt to gain publicity, but I think nobody would do that, right? A successful actress like her don't need any publicity or but yeah, I really liked how she openly talked about it, and there are many other people. So I think, yeah, if celebrities and if people who are influential, they talks about it, it does make a lot of difference. And now, at least as far as I see, it is changing. People are becoming aware.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now this is the last question, but it's kind of divided in two parts. The first
Yeah.
part is, what advice would you give to someone who is, debating whether they should come to Canada or not, or is currently in Canada and are first generation immigrants from India? And the part two of this question is, what advice would you give to mental health professionals currently practicing therapy in Canada, with reference to understanding cultural context more, or being able to provide services that would be of help to um, users in different languages?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So coming to the first part of your question, what advice would I give to people who are in India and want to come to Canada, right?
Yeah.
That's your question is. Uh, so for one thing that I really want to say to everybody through this medium of our interview, that people think that, okay, you go to Canada and your life is sorted, life is easy, everybody gets a job, everybody gets good phones or gadgets on day one. Trust me, that doesn't happen. That really doesn't happen. When you see somebody posting a picture on Niagara Fall, or with their snow, they never post how hard it is to shovel the snow. Or when they are showing you their pictures with fall trees, they don't show you how they have to clear the you know fallen leaves from the trees every day. It is such a big task. So I'm not saying that Canada is not a nice place to be. It is definitely a beautiful country, and I have so much gratitude for this country, because this country has given me so many opportunities. It has broke my barrier of my biggest identity, which was my country. After coming here, I realized that there are other beautiful countries as well. But with all due respect, I'm still, Canada won't be a good option for everybody. For example, I know people in my family who don't know, or who has never, there are some cousins who don't know how to mop the floor, or how to travel in public transport, because they had they were never in that situation, that they were born with a silver spoon. They had drivers. So for such people, Canada would be a disaster. you know if
Hmm.
you are if you are living in a certain comfort level, Canada can be a disaster for you. And the other thing is, why do you want to come to Canada? That is something you need to ask yourself. Because when I talk, this question comes up many times, especially from people from India. I just ask them, why do you want to come to Canada? And many of them said, say for money. So for money also, if you are coming, let's say, to make money. Now if you are at a certain position, let's say, you cannot make more than 10, 20, 30,000, or maximum 40,000 per month in India. Yes, Canada can be a very lucrative option for you. But let's say if you are a software engineer or a doctor, already making very good money in India, then money should not be a consideration for you. Because given the expenses, and if you trade off with the expenses and the cost of living, you are at a much better place in India as you would be in Canada. But yeah, everybody has a different reason to come. So that's why I'm asking, I'm saying the first question we need to ask ourselves is what is my motivation to go there. If you are just going there out of FOMO because everybody is going and you feel you're missing on something, that's stupid, just to put it that way. It's
Yeah.
ultra stupid, I would say. Just see whether you need to or not. And again, as I said, if you are a person who has always born and who was born and raised with a certain comfort, you think you cannot live without house help or things like that, Canada would be a disaster for you. But yeah, if you are very rough and tough and you are open to new opportunities, you think you can start from anywhere, then it can be a nice option. So please don't come to Canada because you see everyone is coming, and everyone who comes to Canada, they start making these vlogs and show
Yeah.
you good side of the brighter side of the picture, but there is a other side of the picture which nobody talks about.